Hey there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another advanced listening practice lesson. If you're new to this series, please check out some of the previous videos we've made that are focusing specifically on something like phrasal verbs or idioms or something like that. These videos are more slow and they are a bit more clear. They've usually got some kind of definition or pictures or something that makes it a bit easier to understand. This video series is for more advanced learners, so if you're new to the channel and you're not used to the sound of my voice, I highly recommend you check out those videos first, and that way you can get used to the sound of my voice and enjoy this video series much more clearly. One other announcement: I keep getting people asking me over and over, where are the subtitles, where are the subtitles, where are the subtitles? Well, they are coming soon, I'm happy to say. Actually, you can hear my daughter Aria is excited about subtitles too, I guess. I know, Aria, okay, we'll get the subtitles in there. I know people keep asking me for subtitles, and we haven't been quite happy with the way subtitles work, because usually in our videos I like to highlight specific words, so you'll see sometimes the yellow or purple text that's highlighting specific things, as opposed to having tons of subtitles that you see, and it kind of takes the focus away from watching my face and watching my mouth move, which is something that's especially important when you're trying to focus on understanding people and actually trying to speak like them. So I really appreciate people spending more time looking at my face, my mouth, and my movements, especially when I speak. But I do recognize that subtitles are an important thing to have, so we will be having those. But what we're doing is creating a special video player that will allow us to have the subtitles, but also the same subtitles that we usually add in videos, and we'll be releasing this very soon on the new EnglishAnyone.com, so I'm really excited about that. So look forward to that soon. So this video and previous videos, we'll go back and make a lot of subtitles for all of those, and then you can enjoy all that on the new EnglishAnyone.com. Anyway, since we've gotten that out of the way, to get something out of the way, this just means we're trying to move something so we can move forward. So we've gotten that announcement out of the way. Now we can get into the actual lesson. Well, this one is going to be another kind of a stream of consciousness thing. You notice I'm already trying to speak more quickly. I'm trying to just like let the ideas flow out as quickly as possible, and hopefully you're listening to that. Actually, you can take a moment, try to, when you're listening to this thing, you can go back and listen to things and try to actually speak along with me. Just try to take maybe 10 seconds or 5 seconds even, and try to repeat something so you can hear how I blend sounds, and you can actually try to blend sounds in the same way. But what I'd like to talk about in this lesson is kind of the language of the future. And if you understand where things are going in the world and you start learning and preparing for them, you're going to be much better prepared for what's happening in the future. Well, we've already seen kind of, changes in history, like the Industrial Revolution. So this is something where instead of having people do a whole bunch of different things, we can mechanize something. To mechanize something means to make it work like a machine. So instead of having a whole bunch of people doing individual things like separate jobs, we can have one particular thing that this person does and this person does, and these are all part of the same process. So kind of making people think and work like machines, and making one person that maybe if they couldn't come to work, someone else could come into work and do that same job. So this is the Industrial Revolution, where we were starting to mass produce things. So now we could have more people that are able to purchase things like cars or motorcycles, or even something small like pieces of paper or pens, because we can have a factory producing those things. But what's happening now, and what you're going to start seeing more of, and this is what I want to talk about the language of the future, is you're going to see a lot more people starting to do kind of their own business or something like this, like much in the way that I'm doing that, working with my team right now. Now, whether you think you're an employee or you're an actual business owner currently, or you'd like to become a business owner, something like that, you'd like to have your own thing, this is where we're going. So we're still going to have large companies that are doing more things, but if you think about what's happening in the future, now the technology is available for anyone to be able to connect with someone in a particular market in the same way that I'm connecting with you right now. So I can be sitting in my room, you can be in your car like watching this, or at home in your bed or in your shower or wherever. But the point is, I can connect with you directly, and you're going to start seeing a lot more people doing that. It's still early. When I talk to people about what I do, I say, I help people learn English, and I help people improve their speaking confidence and fluency. And I say, I do this all online. And I still don't know many people that actually do the same same thing I do. And I don't mean teaching English, but I mean actually not only trying to educate someone, but doing it online. So taking advantage of the opportunities that we do have, and the opportunity really is, again, like I was just saying before, to connect with people that maybe you wouldn't be able to connect with in your local area. So this is the real beauty of the internet and using the technology that's available now, not only to connect with people through something like YouTube or other services like that, but having a system where, you know, you can collect payments from people and work with other companies and do all kinds of things. It's really easy to do that now. So because the technology is in place, more people are going to start doing what I'm doing or other things like that. And this is the same thing happened with the information revolution when, you know, the large like countries like America were starting to lay cable. So having like internet cables and other systems and information, like the actual kind of physical stuff, the foundation of what you need to have an internet system for people to communicate, that was all being built first. And then the people came and started using that technology. So the same thing is happening again. We're having more of these systems that are in place that people like myself and yourself, if you want to do something like that, can use in order to connect with people and start doing their own thing. So this is called the democratization of a particular thing. So like Henry Ford was all about the democratization of the automobile. So it just means to democratize something means to make it available for the regular person. So for everyday people that want to be able to drive a car, you don't have to be really rich to do it, because he was able to make it cheaper. Henry Ford, again, creating, you know, the Ford automobile, the Model T, and other automobiles at the same time. So he was able to create a system such that lots of people can benefit from that. Now, when I'm talking about the language of the future, I'm not necessarily talking about just English. Obviously, English is going to be the method of communication, or the language of communication, and it's already become the global language. It's the language of, you know, whether you're an airplane pilot or you're trying to conduct international business or you're in international government, any kind of situation like that. If you can speak English, that's where the real power is. But I'm talking about a subset of the language, and this is the language of, you know, how you sell and how you actually communicate with people and get them to interact with you, whatever that happens to be. Now, one of the things I like to say is that one, like the number one, is the most dangerous number when it comes to business, or really when it comes to anything. If you think about people having a job, we've gone from the Industrial Revolution, especially in America, where a lot of people were individually working for other companies, and, you know, they had kind of a safe, secure job. So you could work for a company like IBM or Microsoft or something like that, and then you would have that position for many years. But now more and more people are starting to work for one company maybe for a few years or even for a few months, just doing a little bit of work here and then having to find some other work. So now, because we're seeing a lot more people in the workforce, and because, again, we're able to connect with each other, there's a lot more competition for people that are looking for actual jobs. But what there's less competition for is the kind of thing I do, where you're actually learning how to create your own thing, and that's what's really creating the kind of riskless. I mean, I guess there's always some kind of risk, but what I do is a lot less risky because I interact with so many different people. If you only have one customer, or you only have one boss, and that person gets to tell you basically everything you have to do. And that's what creates a lot of, you know, kind of fear and nervousness for people when they're thinking about, okay, I have my job, and they think like, you know, they're kind of still living in the previous mentality. A mentality is a way of thinking, so mental, like a mentality. So the previous mentality of I'd get a, you know, go get a degree at some university, something like that, and then I would go get a nice job and hopefully stay in that job for 30 years until I retire, and then I can collect some benefits after that. So in my opinion, this used to be not very risky, but it's, you know, I guess it was always a little bit risky. I mean, you never know, you might lose your job doing something like that. But again, it's because of that number one. If there's only one connection between your employer or you're only getting your income from one source. That's the real risky thing. The less risky thing is to have many, many customers, many clients, many people that you work with, many streams of income. People talk about that as well. And that's why in these language learning lessons, I talk about, you know, the English language, obviously, but really what I'm trying to do is communicate different ideas that are important in the English language. And when you talk about learning the English language in the same way that I learned Japanese, when I was thinking about it, like at first I was like, okay, I'm going to study the language. So I get a language textbook, and it's, you know, got a few ideas about here's this verb or this adjective or whatever. And so you get lists of things and you learn them, but it it doesn't really help you in actual conversations because it's not really teaching you exactly how you should be speaking. It's not giving you good examples of that. So when I changed the way I learned and started thinking about how can I actually do something I enjoy and then learn Japanese through that. And that's exactly why I teach English the way I do now, because I was able to finally get fluent in Japanese. So because I was able to do that and seeing how the actual fluency comes from using the language while you're doing something you're enjoying, but just in the language you want to learn it in, that's the way I teach. Now, the same idea of not wanting to be like, this like number one, which is very dangerous. Again, one source of income where you're just working for a boss and you don't have any other, like, you don't own real estate or stocks or have a business or anything like that. That's the real risk now. So the best way to prepare for this is not only to learn English, but also to learn the language of the future. And this is how you're actually learning to sell and communicate and express yourself. Now, again, it doesn't matter if you want to have a job where you're actually working for somebody else or you want to have your own business. If you're unable to communicate clearly, if you're unable to express what you want, get other people to take the actions you want, and it doesn't matter, again, if you're trying to sell someone, you want to get another person to take an action that you're asking them to take, or if you want to do something like within a company, say, hey guys, I have this proposal, and I think we should try doing this thing, such that you want some other people in your company to take a certain action. In all of these things, you have to learn how to communicate with other people, how to persuade them, and how to get them to do what you want. So this is the language of the future, because again, we've got the situation where more people are going to be trying to do the same kind of thing that I'm doing now. So other people are doing that already, and I have the freedom to go live. I could live in any country I want to. I can work anywhere I want to. It doesn't really matter. I happen to like Japan, and that's why I'm here. But for anybody else, really, the choice is limitless, and it all depends on the kind of language you know. If you know the language of being able to communicate with other people, really, I could go to any country in the world, and if I have a pen and a paper, I can start listening to people and figuring out how I can help them do something, such that I'm able to, again, not have one person I'm depending on for, my income or anything else. I've got multiple people. It's like a whole web that I've created. So like, let's say Twitter goes down, then I've still got like YouTube and Facebook and other things like that, or my personal website or anything else like that. Again, I'm always creating separate streams of things, separate connections, such that just like a regular spider web, if you take your finger and like move one of the parts of a spider web, like you take one of the threads of a spider web, it's still very strong because it's got all these other connections there as well. So the language of the future, this is the thing you should really be focusing on, is learning how to sell, learning how to communicate with other people. And again, it doesn't mean, like, selling doesn't mean like you're having to force other people to do things. Really, selling is being able to listen to people and then trying to use the whatever systems you have, or maybe the ability to connect with other people to be able to help people solve problems. But all these things, this is going to be the language of the future, because we're moving from getting a job, trying to communicate with a boss and just having them tell you what to do, back to what we had even before the Industrial Revolution, where you have a lot of different people that are each doing their own individual job. We've got someone who is like a blacksmith. So a blacksmith is someone that like makes things out of metal, or we've got a farmer, or someone that makes shoes, or someone that makes all these other things. We're going back to that now because we now have the infrastructure. So infrastructure just means, things like roads and telephone systems and other things like that. This is the foundation of society, or, business and buildings and all these other things. But because we have that now, the people that will do much better in the future are the ones that are already taking advantage of these opportunities now. So more people will continue to do this, but this is one of the things that you should be learning, and you should be learning about it in English. So if you're learning the language of the future in the language of the future, so again, you're learning about like sales and communicating with people, plus you're already learning it all in English, this is the thing that's really going to help you succeed. So as you're learning, not only, thinking about these ideas as well, but think about the things that you're really interested in, be doing those things in English. These are the things that are really going to help you get fluent. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you have some interesting things you'd like to hear more about, or some topics you think I should discuss, anything at all, as long as it's in English and it would be helpful for you, I'd love to hear about it. So please post down in the comments. Let me know something interesting and entertaining or whatever that you'd like to hear about. And I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Do like this video, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to share it and become a subscriber if you're not yet a subscriber. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.